Welcome back to the Paddy Power Poker Academy. Omaha is a poker game similar to Texas Hold'em in terms of betting and community cards. It's usually played as a limit or pot limit game because there are more cards in play in Omaha, which makes it fundamentally a drawing game. The biggest difference between the games, however, is that Omaha is played with 4 hole cards, meaning you get dealt 4 cards that you keep yourself. This creates the potential to hit big hands much more frequently because now you can get to choose from a total of 9 cards to make your best hand because you still have the flop, turn, and river in this game. What may not be obvious to you right now, though, is that having 4 hole cards changes the game dramatically. So let's look into that aspect of Omaha. Firstly, though, we need to clarify something because there's one rule about Omaha which confuses virtually all players at some time or another. And that is, you must use 2 of your hole cards combined with 3 board cards to make the best hand. No other combination is allowed. In Hold'em, there is no such restriction as to how many of your hole cards you can or cannot use. So on this board, the best hand for this Omaha player would be an ace-high Broadway straight using his ace and jack. It's the best possible hand. But watch what happens by changing just the river card to the 9 of hearts. Now the hand is just okay with 2 pair, 10s and 9s, using a king kicker. This player might want to keep this pot under control now, concerned over being behind a set or a flush, especially against multiple opponents. So let's look at a round of Omaha quickly here because position, blinds, betting, and structure are rather much the same as in the Hold'em video, so we can zoom right to the showdown where you will see how different this game really is. So, like I said, the dealer starts by giving each player 4 cards face down, and of course these are your private hole cards. Some players here decide to fold while the others decide to call the bet and see a flop. The pot is collected and the flop is dealt. Then another round of betting and one player decides to fold. The pot is collected again and the remaining players see the king of diamonds on the turn. There's more bets and another fold. The river card not only pairs the board but completes the diamond flush as well. Another bet and 2 calls. Okay then, let's see the cards. It's a good sized pot and this player turns over the nut flush using his queen and 9 of diamonds. Given the flop, however, I think this player was playing kind of loose, but he did end up with a hand. The next player shows 2 pair, aces and 9s. I suppose he was hoping for a full house, but this hand is rather weak to call a bet from 2 players ahead of you, especially after that 6 of diamonds shows up on the river. Not surprisingly, the last player has the best hand, which is a full house. Aces full of kings. Oops. Hey, I hope you're paying attention here because that's wrong. He does have a full house, but remember, he can only use 2 of his hole cards, making his best hand aces full of 6s. Just keep in mind that when you look at 4 hole cards together, they usually look much stronger than they really are. So Omaha, or Omaha High, is always played for the best hand. But there is also another popular version of Omaha called Omaha Hi-Lo, or Omaha 8 or better. You still use the same amount of cards in the game, but Omaha Hi-Lo is a split pot game, meaning you can win the high, or best hand, like with this nut flush here, or the low hand, which means the lowest 5-card hand, numbered 8 or less, without a pair. Aces can count as low or high cards. So here the low hand is ace deuce, tray 4-6. The value of the high and low sides split the pot down the middle. So now let's look at a typical Omaha High-Low hand to see how different the strategy can be for split pot games. This player's hole cards might have looked strong on the flop, but having just a middle strength set by the river isn't so good on this board, partly because he can only play for the high pot, given that he cannot use 2 of his cards to combine with 3 on the board that are all 8 or lower and not paired. He just can't do it. The next player does qualify for both hands because he is holding 2 cards 8 or lower. So he makes a rather decent low hand here with ace, tray, 4-5-7. Now he also has the nut flush for the high, meaning he knows right now that he has the best high hand and will win at least half the pot. Let's look at that last hand, which, by the way, is a very strong starting hand in Omaha Hi-Lo because it plays well for both sides of the pot. Now, this player also has a flush, but as you can see, it's not good enough for the high because it's a weaker flush than his opponent's king-high flush. However, with his low cards, he makes the low hand with ace, deuce, tray, 4-7, and claims the low pot. A lot can change in Omaha Hi-Lo with just one card. For example, if this player had an ace instead of that tray, then this player over here wins the high and the low. That's called a scoop for high-low poker games. But let's put the 7 of diamonds in play here on the board, and all of a sudden there is no possible low pot because there are not 3 unpaired cards, 8 or lower, on the board. That means this player wins the entire pot with a high hand of quad 7s. Sound confusing? Well, Omaha can take a little more time to pick up, but learning games besides Hold'em expands your general knowledge and skill in all poker games, especially when it comes to reading the board and determining the real value of your hands. Some points to remember as you read more in the Paddy Power Poker Academy section is to understand the drawing nature of Omaha games, reading the board correctly, and realizing that seemingly strong hands are never really too far ahead because of all the possibilities that combinations of 9 cards presents. Don't forget to read more on Omaha in the Paddy Power Poker Academy.